Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sam Tries Reading Smut. Today, I will be reviewing Accidentally Summoned a Demon Boyfriend by Jessica Cage. So I learned about this book from the TikTok algorithm. I am deep into book talk, in case that wasn't obvious. And I actually follow this author on TikTok. I really enjoy her content a lot. Unfortunately, though, I didn't enjoy this book that much, which I wasn't expecting because it has a lot of the tropes I like. It has fated mates. And honestly, the main character too is pretty kick-ass. She's 35. I love having an older main character. She's just like fed up with men. And that's why she accidentally does this spell from just like a normal novel. And it turns out it summons him, which seems like a recipe for like one of Sam's favorite books of all time, right? If you've been watching some of my reviews, you would know, like, oh, those check a lot of Sam's marks. But I think what it was is that I needed more of the emotions of the love story and also in the smut. The smut was very much like wham bam thank you ma'am, with not a lot of details or feeling to it, in my personal opinion. Also, this is a bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want that, maybe stop the video now. The character talks about a psychotic episode she had, and I would have liked to dive into that a little deeper. It just kind of felt like, oh, here it is, but there wasn't enough of an explanation of the character's mental journey and mental health, and I would have liked that to be dug into a little bit more. I feel it would have explained a lot more about her character. But it also kind of goes hand in hand with my complaint about the smut and the falling in love of the fated mate in her, is that I just needed more emotion in it altogether. And I get it, it's a fairly short read. I guess I would have liked an extra 100 pages so I could get more of the emotional connection, because I wanted to be more connected to the main character emotionally, and I also wanted a lot more of the emotional journey of them falling in love. Even though he was like fated to be with her, I'm not going to go into that. You can read the book if you want to know. I just needed more. One thing I really did like about the book, though, is that Jessica really is good about creating a fantasy world. Like, the world was very in-depth, like hell. They don't call it hell, but hell, it's like its own planet, and there are other planets, and it's very in-depth. Like, she explains the kind of history and the culture of the demons in hell and their relationship to Earth and things like that. And that was like really detailed and wonderful, and I loved her world building. Her world building was like on point, especially for like what I thought was going to be like a fluffy, fun smut adventure with fantasy and paranormal romance. I wasn't expecting such a detailed world, and I really truly enjoyed that. And I know her first book, because of TikTok, because I follow her, I know her first book was just a fantasy series. Maybe it wasn't a series, but it may have just been a one-off. But I would be really interested in reading her fantasy book that has no smut, because of the world building that happened in here was so good. Another fun thing of note about this book is the main character and her best friend and their relationship. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a relationship I was more emotionally connected in the book than these two. She did a really good job about showing female friendship, and I really truly enjoyed that, and it was definitely fun reading about that. All that being said, I would rate the smut a 1 out of 5. Spicy. And that's mostly just because it was very wham bam thank you ma'am. There wasn't a lot of details. For instance, the demon character has a rotating eggplant. And I wanted to know more about that. I wanted to know how that worked. And that wasn't very clear. Just to give you a sampling of why I'm giving it a 1 out of 5. Wanted to know more. How did it work? I needed more than it felt like a tornado. Now, for the overall read, I would give it a 4 out of 10. It was good. I enjoyed it. I read it actually fairly quickly. Which for me is always an indicator of I'm invested, I like the story. And I do want to try one of her other books. Like I said before, I'm really interested in her fantasy book. And she has said she has a book series about mermaids that is spicy, but she has said on her TikTok it's very different than this book. It's a little more serious, and I would be willing to give that series a try because she said it's so different. But if she wrote another book similar to this, I probably would not read it. If you've read this book before, let me know in the comments and let me know what you thought of it. I'd love to hear your rating. Also, if you've read any of Jessica Cage's other books, let me know what you thought of those and let me know your recommendation of which one I should read. Until next time, happy reading!